Are you looking for ways and strategies to optimize performance max campaigns on Google? A lot of people are. There are new campaign types that have come out over the past 6 months to a year or so, and there's been a lot of movement and development in the ways to optimize these types of campaigns. If you don't know what a performance max campaign is, check out the description or a link in the upper right hand corner. And I'll have a link to my latest Performance Max YouTube video on how to set up those types of campaigns. But Performance Max campaigns are Google's single campaign solution where it's all based around performance and it opens you up to all of Google's available inventory on search, display, YouTube, discovery, local, and shopping if applicable. Some of the shade that's been thrown at these new campaign types is that it's literally one campaign, one asset group, one set of targeting, and you just let it go. There's not a learning behind it. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to optimize these campaigns and how to segment them out accordingly. Now, the first thing you're going to want to look at in these Performance Max campaigns are your campaign settings. So head over to the settings tab for these campaigns and click on the campaign type. There are two ways that you're going to want to segment these campaigns. One, you're going to want to do it by either focusing on very specific landing pages on your website, or two, focusing on all of the landing pages on your website and building out specific sets of creative assets that'll be relevant to that specific service or product. So the way that you do that is you head over to the settings section, you go to additional settings, and then you click on final URL expansion. And the two options you want to choose are either send it to everyone on your website or pick a very specific URL. Now, if you do the second option here, it's going to be more limited, but it's going to be more targeted. So my recommendation is if you have a limited budget and you don't want Google to go out and learn across everything, go with this option. It's going to be the safer bet, but you're not going to get as much inventory. If you're doing smart bidding in your account well across other campaign types, I would highly recommend that you do all of the traffic on your website and you send them to all of the URLs on your website because you're going to be able to optimize around a very specific campaign goal. So that's piece one. You want to make sure that your final URL expansion is set up properly and you're either targeting one URL or you're targeting all the URLs on your site and you're optimizing accordingly. The next piece is ensuring that your asset groups are set up in the proper way. Now, an asset group is a set of creatives that'll be used based on your advertising objectives that follow a common theme. If you're in the clothing industry, you may have one broken out by shoes, sweaters, hats, things like that. You want to have it broken down by product or service. And typically, if you follow the nav structure on your website, that's typically the best way to start. And the way that you want to have your asset groups broken out in Performance Max campaigns is to have different assets broken out by service category, ensure that the URL is relevant for that section and the creative messaging is relevant for that section. It allows Google to take all of the information, go out and learn against all the inventory that's available, and then to deliver you the appropriate results. And here's what that looks like. So here is a set of creatives based on a very specific landing page. I have unique headlines, descriptions, and images. I have that broken out by theme across the board, and I have 4 to 6 asset groups broken out for each one of my clients, and that allows me to serve differently on Maps, YouTube, Gmail, search, all the different areas, and then Google can take all of these assets, go out to all of the inventory that's available, and optimize around the goal that you have set in the campaign settings level section. So it's highly, highly recommended that you have multiple asset groups set up in your Performance Max campaign so Google knows where to send the traffic and what creatives that it should go out and use and learn with. And one of the final things you're going to want to look at is actually the location targeting. Over the last 2 weeks or so in early July, Google added the option for you to change your location targeting where you can hit folks who are either directly in that location or have an interest in that location. So we're going to head back to the interface and head back to the settings section. Now, once you get back to settings within Google Ads, you're going to go to locations. And if you're familiar and you've been running Google Ads campaigns for a while, you have this location options button that you can select right here. Expand upon that, and you now have the option to hit people who are in your locations versus people that have an interest in your locations. So let's say you're a HVAC contractor in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you select this top option. Someone might have an interest in HVAC services and Google thinks that you might be relevant even though you're in Canada or you're in Wisconsin or somewhere else that isn't your specific location. This can lead to waste over time if you're not careful with this setting. So the addition of presence of people who are in your locations, this limits your campaigns and allows you to only serve to users in those locations. So this is a new campaign setting that just got added from the time of this video about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I highly highly recommend that you audit all of your Performance Max campaigns and see if it makes sense for your business to select the second option here to limit where your ads are served. So again, it's going away from people that are interested in your location versus people that are only in your location. It's a really big game changer for these types of campaigns. And one really big thing to keep in mind, everyone, is that your target ROAS or your target CPA for Performance Max campaigns needs to be realistic. As I mentioned in my introduction to Performance Max campaigns, your goal needs to be set to either a last 14 to 30 day average, because if you set it either too high or too low and it's not realistic with what your campaign's been receiving, these campaigns are going to struggle bust hard. They're not going to perform well and you're not going to be happy with the results. And Performance Max campaigns, they take precedent over every other campaign type. So if you have $50 a day in Performance Max and $50 a day in search, search will not serve fully until Performance Max spends if there is overlap between those campaign types. So really keep that in mind for Performance Max. Now, I've tested Performance Max out in a lot of accounts that I work with. I would say that it doesn't always work, but majority of times it does, and it varies based on the level of success. It's not the end-all be-all with campaign strategy. It's something that I highly recommend that you test, especially if you haven't had success with it historically. One last thing to note is that Google does seem to be moving to more of these black box solutions where it does seem to be trending towards a keyword list future. So being able to leverage these types of strategies in your advertising buys, I think will go a long way. How are you seeing Performance Max campaigns work today? Definitely let me know down below in the comments. What else did I miss? Again, at the time of recording this video in July of 2022, these are some of the recommendations that I've seen work well. Happy to hear from you all. If you want to message me, let me know down below in the comments or join our Discord channel, link in the upper right-hand corner. Would love to talk with you. Until next time, appreciate you all. Thanks. Bye.